Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Yes, I know it's been a while. You are anxious for the real writing part, so let's get on it. I won't hold you up. We're going to do outlining tonight, and we're only going to do the first part because now all the writing part takes time, and I want you to get it. There are two parts to the writing. There are short answer paragraphs that we have to work on, and then we'll work on the longer full essays. So let's get busy. Right now, we're going to work on these. We're going just on session 7. We're working on short answer paragraphs. What have we covered so far? We have covered the right mindset. You want to be conquerors for this test. We have talked about don't focus on being perfect. You want to focus on leveling up, doing a little bit better, making your effort this time a little bit better than what happened last time. And then next year, you'll do the same thing. We also wanted and talked about learning strategies, how to write. What are ways that we can tackle this test that's in front of us coming up in just a week or so. So we told you that one of the strategies was to break down the test, spread it across all 5 days of the testing. Day 1, we talked about reading and reviewing the directions. We said the little kind of like rhyme or whatever you want to call it that we put together was I sat and know the directions. I sat setting action verbs, action words, and then the type of writing that we're being asked to do. We sat and we know the directions. So we did that on day 1. Then we went to highlighting the actual reading part, the sources, highlighting source 1, source 2, all the key and important details. And then we said, okay, now I want you to go play and see if you can play with these different tests, get in it, get to know it. And so today we're on outlining, and that's what we're going to do. There are 2 types, as I said earlier. There are short answer paragraphs that we need to learn, and that's what we'll do tonight. And then we also have the full-length essays. Full-length essays include informative essays. You're teaching somebody what you've learned. Persuasive, you want to convince them that your way of seeing things, your opinion is the best and right. Maybe they ask you to tell a story, to write a narrative. For more advanced students, more like in the 11th grade, maybe in the 8th grade, you might get an argumentative paper. And that's where it's very similar to persuasive. You're giving your opinion, but at the same time, you are presenting the other side. So you're presenting both sides, but you're going to emphasize, or really stand on one side more than the other. Okay? So what are we going to do from here? Well, you got to look at paragraph structure. Paragraph structure generally, if I don't know if you're younger students, you may not know this, or you may have had, may just be beginning to learn this, but paragraphs are sort of like a sandwich. Someone may say it looks like a sandwich with 2 pieces of bread, and there's a bunch of meat and lettuce, tomatoes, and everything in the middle. When I teach paragraphs, when I teach writing to the middle age students or the middle school students, one of the things that I teach them is that you want to find an umbrella statement, an umbrella sentence. That's your introduction sentence. It's usually the first sentence in your paragraph. Everything else has to come under the umbrella. Think of it kind of like there's rain, and if the umbrella is there, everything has to stay underneath the umbrella. It has to be related to that umbrella to not get all wet and soggy. And you don't want wet and soggy paragraphs. So you want to make sure everything relates to, or it kind of talks to whatever that big idea sentence is. And that's usually your opener. After that, you usually have a couple points, point 1, point 2. And each point, you're going to bring evidence. You're going to provide a source, like we talked about in the test. We're going to provide a source. Tell me where you got that information from. And then you're going to wrap it all up. That's the bottom piece of bread, the bottom sandwich piece. And that is your conclusion. It's a wrap up. It's a finish and kind of put a nice bow on this package, this paragraph package. So the other thing that I teach my students is that paragraphs, your big idea is usually your biggest, most general sentence. It like I said, everything has to come underneath it. So as you have your big idea, as each sentence moves towards it through your paragraph, you want it to be more and more specific, more and more to your main point, to your main idea. So that is how it's supposed to flow. Big idea to a little dinky point, sort of like an upside down triangle. So that's what you're looking for. But the tests are a little bit different because the tests are asking you to answer questions or answer a prompt, a certain situation to explain or describe. So how are we going to do that? What strategy are we going to use? We're going to use RACE. Now, I know many of you know this technique, that you know this strategy, RACE, R-A-C-E. What does that stand for? R is restate the question or the task. A, answer the question. C, cite your sources. And all that cite means is that you're going to tell me in your writing where that information, where your answer came from or where your evidence came from. That's citing. And then the last one, R-A-C-E, E is explain the reasons for your citations, the reasons for your answer. Why do you think these best answer the original question? So what might that look like? Well, how do you push the two together? How do you push that big upside down triangle? How do you put that onto the idea of race and that strategy? Well, the first one is you're going to restate the big idea. Whatever your big idea sentence is, that's the thing that you're trying to answer. So that, of course, is going to be like a big umbrella. All the other answers underneath, all the other sentences are going to answer that big question. That's why it is restating the question or the prompt. That's the big idea. Well, then underneath that has to be your A answer. So what is the answer? Sometimes it'll ask you to give an answer and then grab citations to prove it. Pineapple does not belong on pizza, ever, 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 ever. Maybe that's your answer. Well, is there something in your reading that told you that that is a true statement? Give me that evidence. What is the proof? What sources are going to tell you that that is a true answer or the right answer? And then you're going to have that C. That C is that citation. You're going to tell me what sources those are, right? Be sure to label them. That's kind of really what citation is. You always want to put a source or evidence in, but every time you do, you have to give it a label. Where did you get that piece of evidence from? Okay? And then the last one, RACE, is explain my reasons. I'm going to explain the whole paragraph all in one sentence, maybe two, and kind of wrap it all up in a little bow. That's what we're going to be doing with our next video when we actually go into the test. And why does that say that? That's not supposed to be like that. That's the right slide. Sorry about that. Session 8, the next session, we're going to look actually into the test and we're going to go into some examples and take a look at those small paragraph questions and see if we can't outline them. Sorry, it's late at night and I have not had coffee in a long time. We're going to look how to lay those out and see if we can't come up with some possible answers. How might you answer these questions? Okay, that's what we're looking at for our next one. So don't go away too far. Come right back and we'll do the next one.